Hi, I'm Dan Hegstead. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening to my vlog and podcast. This is Next Steps, Tools for Transforming from Coping to Thriving. Yes, it's based on my book of the same title. It's a paperback, it's an e-reader from Kindle, and it's an audiobook read by me, available on Amazon, and the link to where you can buy it on Amazon is on my website, danhegstead.com. And I am a speaker and trainer, if you'd like to look into booking me as your speaker. On my website, danhegstead.com. Do you have an idea for a topic for the vlog and podcast? I've got many, many more to come, but if you got something you'd like me to think about and talk about, send me an email, dan@danhegstead.com. Last episode was about happiness, and I had you think about that and write down what do you want? What makes you happy? It's important that we know what that is. So many people don't know what they do for fun. They could tell you in great detail what they do for work, but when you say, what do you do for fun? They don't know. I'm still surprised, and I've been asking people that question for years, and I keep thinking, well, I just caught a couple that, were a little different. No. Try it. Ask people, what do you do for fun? It's a great conversation starter, and frequently they don't know. So now I'm asking you, what makes you unhappy? And I'll go through my list here, and then we'll talk about some of those things. One of the things on my list that makes me unhappy is people exercising willful ignorance. And there are so many of those that just don't want to engage or question themselves. Willful ignorance, there is so much of that. And I just hate to see that, those intentionally closed-minded people. It's pretty sad. I don't like cooking. I got fired from a job as a dishwasher many, many years ago. I disliked it a lot, and I deserved to get fired, but I don't like kitchen work. It's noisy, it's messy, it's greasy, everything happens at once and all. Now, I can read a recipe, and I've cooked some stuff. I can do it. I just don't like it, so I tend not to. I don't like liars. There's a lot of those out there these days, too, and I try to avoid those. I don't like winter in Minnesota. Now, I've lived here for 67 years and 11 months, and I've gotten along with winter okay. I mean, it's something you grow up with and you learn, and, it's okay. But now that I'm retired and I have a choice, I'm going to look at getting out of here, at least for a while in the winter. Spring, summer, fall, Minnesota is one of the nicest places on the planet. Of the places I've been, I've not been everywhere, but spring, summer, fall, boy, you can't beat Minnesota. It's just nice. But winter, it gets cold, and then it gets colder, and then it gets colder than that, and it'll still get colder. And we get snow from November through March, if not April, and it just cuts back on what I want to do. Now, if you're going to live here, you make friends with winter, you get some skis, cross-country or downhill skis, you get out snowshoeing or fishing on the lakes freeze so thick you can drive a car out there, and then you drill a hole in the ice, and you can fish out there. And people love it. Not me. I like mountain biking, and I want to bike in the dirt, and you just can't do that in Minnesota in the winter. I've got the fat tire bike with the studded tires and all that. I can do it, just don't like it, want to get out of here. I'll talk more about that in a minute. I hate greed. There's a lot of that going on. I don't like commercials. And I don't listen to commercial radio anymore. Not at all. For television, we record everything on a DVR, watch it later, zip through the commercials. If it's live television, I mute them. I hate commercials, and you can tell I'm pretty committed to keeping them out of my life. Now, not everybody's that committed, but I did something about it. That's what I could do. We'll talk more about that later. I don't like bad roads. I like to drive, and I don't mean snow-covered roads. I mean roads in disrepair. And in Minnesota, they get beat up pretty bad. It's tough. I get it. But And it's not the fault of the people who do the work. It's the fault of the people who provide the money, who don't provide enough money to fix the roads. They do eventually, but usually 5 or 10 years after they should have. So now, could I complain to my representative? It's not going to work. Neither one of the representatives I have, senator or representative in the current Minnesota legislature, give a damn about what I think about anything. They're not going to do anything. So I just got to wait. People who don't respond to voicemail or email or messages, I will drop you with no remorse. If you're on a committee or we're trying to work together or you're a sales rep or something, you don't respond to me, I'm done. I'm going to move on. Just don't like it. I don't like noise and chaos and commotion, loud people. So I generally don't go to bars and such. I can handle crowds, but I have to get in the mindset to do it, and I do okay there. So so that's kind of my list. You kind of get where I'm at. A lot of us might have issues with relationships, a spouse or kids or friends or whatever. Okay, that can make you unhappy. Maybe you got a job you don't like. So that's a real world situation that we have to deal with, and we're going to talk about that. My question is, once you know what makes you unhappy, what are you going to do about it? That's the big question today. What are you going to do about it? Because you have 3 choices. Number 1, you could change it. It could be hard, but you could change it. Job, marriage, those sorts of things. You're choosing to stay there. You choose to work on it, which is probably a good idea. You could live with it. Can you just put up with it? Okay, got to think about that. Or you're just going to be angry for the rest of your life. There's no sense in that. So I'm sorry, but those are your limited choices. And a lot of people are disappointed by that, but we have chosen to acknowledge and live in reality, and that's what reality is. You can change it, you can just leave it, or live with it. So that brings us to the deep wisdom. Reinhold Niebuhr, what's become called the serenity prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. So we're talking about serenity, courage, and wisdom there. Let's start with wisdom. The wisdom to know the difference. How are you going to know? Is this something I can change, or is it something I cannot change? And frequently we try and change things we can't or don't really want to. It could be some huge stuff. Okay, I've accepted winter in Minnesota for many, many years. I've done fine, but now I have the opportunity. I could have left any time, but it was going to be huge. It would mean changing jobs and all kinds of things. It just wasn't practical. It was easier, and I could, get along with winter as best I could. Now I don't have to. Okay, the wisdom to know the difference. Once you know if you can change something or not, you can decide. There you go. It's power. You have the power to decide whether you want to do anything about it or not. And if that's a relationship or a job, that's a big decision. So are you choosing to stick with it out of fear of what's going to happen next, or you don't have the courage to take the steps you need to take? That's serenity, courage, and the wisdom to know the difference. So if it's something you can't do anything about, traffic, for example, you can't do anything about the traffic, but you're out there complaining. Well, what did you expect? Really? You expected the traffic on the freeway was just going to part and let you zoom through? So why are you angry about it? It's exactly what you expected. You just need to get in there with the right attitude and say, I'm just going to, cruise along here as best I can. I'm not going to let other people drive my car, and I'm going to remain at peace in this traffic. You can do it. I can do it. I do it. I don't mind city driving because I don't let other people drive my car, and I don't expect them to be any different than they are. Okay, wisdom to know the difference. That's interesting. Then we back up to courage. Where does that courage come from? I think that goes back to fear. We're afraid of what we could do, or what if it goes bad, or what if. Once you become fearless, life becomes limitless. And so if you can let go of that fear, you can find the courage to make the change, or the serenity to know the difference. The serenity to understand what's going on here. And that comes from you and your attitude. And let's back up to engaging your higher brain, intentionally finding a quiet place, some kind of meditation to let the pieces come back together so you can think things through and make a reasonable decision, or decide, I don't want to do anything about this. That's where it comes in. Serenity, courage, and wisdom. Not easy, but very, very doable. And ultimately, these answers are pretty simple when it comes down to it. It's just probably not the answers we really want. In the last episode, we talked about happiness. What makes you happy? What do you want to be happy? And I cautioned you to say, don't say what I need to be happy. Words are extremely important. Words represent thoughts, and thoughts are important. So the words you choose to describe things, and you're choosing, the words you choose are really important. So rather than say, I need this to be happy, you can say, I would like, or wouldn't it be nice if, or I prefer. Because you're not saying, I need this. I'm going to be happy no matter what. It's just, okay, what can I do to facilitate happiness, and what can I do to mitigate unhappiness? That's really what it's coming down to. Understanding that, making good choices, and doing the best you can. Understanding you're not going to be totally happy, and the things that make you unhappy are not going to go away. It's just you're going to have to learn to live with them. I guarantee you, if I could make willful ignorance and greed go away, I would do something about it. But I can't, and I certainly won't. If you come up with something, do it. All right. So those are some really important words. I'd like, wouldn't it be nice if, or I prefer. Think about those words. So unhappiness. What's making you unhappy? What can you do about it? And are you willing to do those things? And if you are, go ahead and do them. Start small, work up to it, but live your own life in your own way, because you are not what happened to you. You are who you choose to become. And mitigating unhappiness helps you become the person you were born to be. And that's moving from coping to thriving. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. I'm Dan Hegstead. The website, danhegstead.com. If you're looking for a great speaker, and if you can't find one, maybe check me out, danhegstead.com. So thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. It's Next Steps, Tools for Transforming from Coping to Thriving.